Welcome to Main Street Living. I'm Cheryl Nelson.
Hey guys, I'm Quincy Carr.
And I'm Danielle Alvari.
All right, so we are gearing up for the big game. Who's excited?
Yes. Hi. Yeah.
Yes, I'm excited. Even though Tom Brady's not with my team, the Patriots, anymore, I'm rooting for Tampa Bay. I mean, in Tampa Bay, you got Tom Brady all the way. How about you guys? What do you think? You betting?
Well, before we get to the betting part, I just have to say for the last 25 plus years, I have not seen my Cowboys get into the Super Bowl since 95.
Okay, Quincy, you're going to have to let that one go. All right.
Sorry,
but I will put some money up, Danielle. Who do you got?
So you guys know I work for a sports betting network, and so this is what we've been talking about for weeks now. And the Chiefs opened as 3.5-point favorites and then went to 3 points. So what that means is, as a favorite, they would have to win by at least more than 3 points to cover your bet. So if you bet on the Chiefs -3, they would have to win by more than 3, right? And if you bet on -3.5, they would have to win by more than 3.5. You get that. So I like the Chiefs in this spot, but it's so hard to bet against Tom Brady, right? What do you guys think?
Yeah. Tom Brady. Q, what about you?
Well, have you seen the side-by-side picture when Tom Brady was 24 going to the first Super Bowl? Patrick Mahomes was 6 years old.
Time has been good to him. Yes.
I know. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. So speaking of the Super Bowl, we've got an awesome show today with a lot of fun stuff. We're going to talk with, this is not Super Bowl related, but a TV weather legend. Find out who that is.
Nice. And we're also visiting with the creator of Heroes of Color as well.
We'll also hear from Chef Nick Raybar and Daina Falk, founder and CEO of Hungry Fan, to talk to us all about Super Bowl snacks.
Oh, yeah, you guys don't want to miss it. But first, we're going to talk with an NFL insider about Super Bowl 55, find out what he has to say, and get the inside scoop next. Welcome back to Main Street Living. Quincy, Danielle, the big game is just around the corner. And as a lifelong Patriots fan, I'm actually glad to see that Tom Brady gets to play, even if for a different team. So you can bet I'm going to be making some yummy vegan snacks to enjoy while watching.
Yeah, well, the chances are we won't get a chance to experience any of it, right?
Well, I mean, on TV and the snacks. Yeah. So you don't want my vegan snacks?
That's how most people experience it usually, watching it on TV. Yeah. I mean, I can't believe we got here after, we'll just say, an interesting NFL season. But yeah, now the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Kansas City Chiefs are going head-to-head in Super Bowl 55. And here was some insight on what to watch for in this historic game. We have our very own NFL insider and Saints TV host, Mike Nabors. Mike, thanks so much for joining us on Main Street Living.
I'm glad to be back. How you guys doing?
Doing great.
So good. So obviously, Bucs versus Chiefs. Brady versus Mahomes. What do you think of this matchup?
The GOAT against the future GOAT, it looks like. I mean, Tom Brady, what can you say? His 10th Super Bowl continues to amaze. And I think what's been amazing about Tom Brady is, I covered the Saints and the Bucs. Back in October, I saw maybe Tom Brady's worst game as an NFL player, losing to the Saints 38-3. But since then, the Bucs football team has been great, but it hasn't all been Brady. I mean, the young defense has really come alive. Their offensive line has played better. It's been a team effort for the Bucs. And then you have Patrick Mahomes on the other sideline. He just seems unflappable. For somebody his age, obviously he had a father who played Major League Baseball, and I think that's part of his makeup, that the stage is not too big for him. He's not intimidated. He's out there after every game when he's interviewed, hey, I had fun out there. It was like a playground or something. So you have two guys who are very mentally strong. And I know living in Tampa before the year, they thought, it'd be great to have a team in the Super Bowl, but they didn't know they'd have Tom Brady. They know they'd have Gronk, and they kept adding pieces and pieces. Those pieces didn't work at the beginning, but the chemistry got better and better as the season progressed.
Yeah, Mike, and it's clear that, if you're going to compare, Bill Belichick's Patriots to Tom Brady's Bucks, right? The difference wasn't the system. It was actually Tom Brady. That's what it looks like. So, then you got Andy Reid, a smart offensive mind. Like what are we watching for in this Super Bowl?
Well, I look at Bill Belichick and Tom Brady as two of the best of all time. I think Belichick didn't have any help, and that's why Tom Brady left New England, because he wanted some help, and that's why he came to a team like the Buccaneers where he has a lot of help. And the strange thing about all of this is Tom Brady deserves all the praise that he made the Super Bowl. But as I mentioned before, he's gotten a lot of help. I mean, he threw 3 interceptions in the second half against the Packers, and that defense bailed him out. That was 3 punts by the Packers. If that didn't happen, Tom Brady may be a goat of a different sort, not making the playoffs because of the picks. But I look at Andy Reid and I look at Tom Brady, and Andy Reid's a great story too, because for years he was the bridesmaid. He couldn't win the big one, and it just shows you the importance of having a great quarterback. And I don't know if Patrick Mahomes, if he won another one, he may be a Hall of Famer already. But if you have a Hall of Fame caliber quarterback, it goes a long, long way into making a coach look better. Ask Andy Reid and ask Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
And ask Bruce Arians, right? I mean, definitely has Tom Brady helping him right now. It was unbelievable to me when he decided to pick Tampa Bay to go to, right? And I mean, this is the first time that a team has played in their home city, right? Tampa Bay is getting to play in Tampa Bay in a Super Bowl. And they're allowing, I think, 20,000 fans. What do you think the atmosphere is going to be like there?
It's going to be as good as you would expect. I mean, the thing about Super Bowl crowds, it's not a home field even during a normal season because you have so many VIPs, so many corporate tickets. I got to applaud the NFL. They've done a great job. I never thought we'd have an uninterrupted season. And then you have, what they've done, bringing in emergency care workers, giving them tickets, 7,500 tickets to first responders and nurses and everybody who's helped during this COVID crisis. That's a great move by the NFL. I'll say this, living in Tampa, though, I think it's bittersweet because if you look at the big picture, the Lightning won the Stanley Cup. The fans couldn't see it here. The Rays went to the World Series. The fans couldn't see it. Now the Bucks, not only do they make the Super Bowl, it's in Tampa Bay, and many of them can't see it. So it's bittersweet. You love having maybe the best year of any city in American history in terms of sports, but it's a weird feeling for sure.
They can't even have parades.
Right.
I completely forgot about that. I mean, it almost reminds you like when Boston, like the Red Sox, and then the Celtics, and then the Patriots were all winning at the same time. So with that many fans there, with COVID still going on, like what can we expect in terms of how the CDC or whoever handles all this?
Are you expecting any players to end up like last minute not being able to play, or how do you think they're going to handle that?
Well, that's the tricky thing because some Super Bowl weeks you have 1 week in between and you have 2 and others. I know the last time the Bucs won a Super Bowl was back in 2002, which is incredible thinking about that. They flew from the NFC Championship game from Philadelphia to San Diego. But to answer your question, with 2 weeks, I think sometimes if you're in these times, you want to get this game on the field quickly. You don't want any lag time in between because, if you're a Kansas City Chief, the weird thing about the Super Bowl week, they're coming in Friday of next week. There will be no media days. There's not going to be one-on-one interaction, but still, they're practicing in Kansas City. They're going home to see their families in between. You have the normal problems you may have during the season. So I don't know. I mean, I know the Bucs are happy, hopefully, to have a lot of key players back. Antoine Winfield's won their safety. They just got Vea back, a key defensive lineman. But you can't control the other stuff. So that's a big question and a potentially big story next week. We'll see what happens.
Great.
Got me excited.
Yeah. We certainly do appreciate you stopping by once again. Give us some tips and some updates on what's happening here in the NFL. Thanks again, Mike, for being part of the show.
Should be a great game. I always enjoy it. Thank you.
No problem. Well, people, the big game is set for Tampa. We know that. And up next, we got some tips for the pandemic big game soiree. Don't miss this one. Welcome back to Main Street Living. Danielle and Cheryl, I don't know if y'all look at life like this, especially in this year, but just last year, I was performing on a cruise ship, 5,000 passengers when the big game was going down. But what a year. I mean, well, what a difference a year makes, right?
Yeah, I know. But it's back. It without fail. The Super Bowl has come. Super Bowl Sunday is kind of one of, I think, America's favorite like unofficial holidays. And normally it's a day filled with football and parties, and it can still be filled with football and definitely with snacks. So here with some tips for throwing a small but epic Super Bowl party. We have the founder and CEO of Hungry Fan, Daina Falk. Daina, thanks so much for joining us on Main Street Living.
Hello.
Thanks for having me. Hi.
So we're really lucky to have you here because you're an expert on tailgating, which sounds pretty cool. But even when nothing's normal, what are some of the tips for winning at the snacks game?
Yes. So for Super Bowl Sunday, we call it home gating because usually you're throwing a party and hanging out with friends and family at your home. Obviously, we're smaller sizes this year, hopefully. That doesn't mean the snacks can't be epic. I feel like the best thing that you could do this year is make everything that you would have made on a normal year, just maybe don't make as much because you won't be feeding as many people. I'm a huge fan of buffalo wings. I will always make buffalo wings. I love guacamole. On Super Bowl Sunday, I like to jazz it up with a little bit of bacon in there because why not? Yeah. But definitely, I would say, go big on the snacks because it is a special day. It's the second largest food holiday in America, second to Thanksgiving. So just because we're all stuck inside doesn't mean it still can't be epic.
Yes, I love that. And, I know you also have ideas for people with dietary restrictions. I'm at the top of that list, gluten-free and vegan. People hate it when I come over. So what kinds of recommendations do you have for people like me, or also some ideas for the kiddos?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would normally say in a regular year, never forget to ask your guests who are coming if they do have dietary restrictions like you do, so that you do remember to make sure that there's foods for those people. There are so many things that you can make that are delicious. I'm sure you already know because you are vegan and gluten-free. There's lots of yummy things you can eat. And so it's really just a matter of making things that you would feel are special, but don't forget the kids. And especially when it comes to drinks, we all drink we don't all drink, but a lot of people drink on Super Bowl Sunday. And I would say, don't forget the kids, not to say that you're going to give them alcoholic beverages, but make them fun versions of what you're making. So for example, you can take like strawberries or melons and you can puree them and make them into slushy drinks for them that don't actually have any booze in them, but then you could always add some rum or whatever it is that you're looking for yourself.
Just don't mix them up, right?
Don't mix them up. Don't mix them up. And actually,
maybe they get a different color.
Right. Well, there's a fun way. Like I would always tell people when you're throwing a Super Bowl party, like don't forget to gamify the game, whether it's doing a pool or some sort of craft. It's always really fun. So you actually was a perfect segue to koozies. You can order plain koozies online, like on Amazon. They're really cheap, and you can just set out some Sharpies and let everybody decorate their own koozie, which is a great way to make sure. And that's the thing that goes around
the drink, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, and that way too. If you keep an eye on the kids' koozie, you know which one is the virgin one and which one isn't. So problem solved.
What are some other fun activities people can do? And especially for the people maybe who are like not as invested in the game. But yeah, other fun things.
Yeah, like I was saying, I always find that there's always like a few people at my Super Bowl party who aren't necessarily football fans. And that's cool. And you don't even need to know what's happening on the field because part of the fun of the day is the getting together and the camaraderie, which can be virtual as well. So if you go to Google, for example, and just Google football pool, you can download a pool and you can, between now and the game, you can virtually get your friends to fill out the pool. They don't have to be at your house, for example, to enjoy some of these games. You can also just have bets, whether it's within your family at home or among your friends and family beyond your house. You can, bet on like who's going to win the coin toss, who will score the first home run. Right. Oh my gosh. Hello. The first touchdown. Where is my head? I think I've been buried under lots of recipe making.
It's been a long year. It's been a long year.
You know,
Yeah.
it's been a long year and it's only January.
Oh my gosh, January I feel like is never going to end, but the Super Bowl is right around the corner. We are all looking forward to it. What else can people find on your website and learn more fun ideas?
Yeah, so if you head to hungryfan.com, there's actually right at the top, we put up a place to get started if you're looking for great Super Bowl tips. So I advise you head there. We have some awesome infographics. You would not believe how many chicken wings Americans eat. So we made this incredible infographic. We made another infographic about how much other food we eat, like burgers and pizza and avocados for guacamole. It's really, truly mind-blowing. So if you just want some like fun facts that you can use as talking points at your Super Bowl get-together, head there, along with some awesome recipes, including recipes from Mitch Schwartz on the Kansas City Chiefs. He is part of our Hungry Fan community, and he was gracious enough to share a few recipes with us. So you can find those there.
Oh,
Yeah.
From someone who's going to be in the Super Bowl or has some connection to it at least. Yeah.
Yes, he's a Super Bowl winner from last year, and his team is obviously heading back in about,
hopefully
soon.
he does it again.
I know.
Hopefully they do.
I don't know. I still want Tom Brady, guys. But regardless, thank you so much. That was great. We'll have to check out your site. We appreciate you being here.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank
All
you.
right. A lot more ahead on Main Street Living. Are you trying to figure out what to eat while enjoying the big game? We just gave you some ideas. We have some more snack recipes next, so don't miss it. Welcome back to Main Street Living. Danielle, Quincy, I cannot watch the big game without snacks, and my go-to has always been vegan nachos grande, but I would love to learn some new recipes.
Well, you're definitely going to learn that today, Cheryl, because we've been talking a lot about the big game, what's going to happen, what to eat. And of course, the best part about the big game is the food that people can cook. So joining us today with some recipes, ideas, for your scaled down big game party, we got Chef Nick Raybar from Avenue Inn American Kitchen located in Rhode Island. Welcome to Main Street Living, Nick.
Thanks, Quincy. It's great to be here.
Great, man. Great to have you on the show. Now, we've heard, the Super Bowl Sunday is the biggest food holiday in the U.S. after Thanksgiving. That's some pretty serious stuff, man. So give us some ideas about the game day grub options we have.
Well, you heard right. And this year, I would say the easiest and best thing you can do is take out from your favorite local restaurant. It's a great way to support them during this unique time. However, if you are cooking from home, I've got a few crowd pleasers here that are sure to score big points with your home team. A little cheesy, I get it. But speaking of cheesy, I've got these cheesy pull-apart Sloppy Joe sliders. It's a very unique way to share with, most of us are doing small crowds this year. So even if you're doing a small crowd, pull-aparts are a great way to share a unique recipe. So we've had Sloppy Joes, but this is really, really something different. All the pull-apart bread has been toasted. I filled it with some cheddar cheese, Sloppy Joe filling, a little more cheese on top, brushed the top with garlic and herb butter, and then baked it so it got beautiful and melted and absolutely perfect for Super Bowl Sunday.
I haven't eaten yet, Nick. You need to stop.
I was in Super Bowl week and I'm surrounded by food. I was the best place ever. But if this is a little too on the aggressive side and you're looking for something a little lighter, a little healthier, I made this beautiful vegetable chili, okay? So one thing I've noticed about vegetable chilies is a lot of the time they don't always resemble chili. They look like a stew or just like a vegetable soup. This recipe really, really brings together the vegetables and it tastes exactly like you're eating a chili, just with vegetables instead of meat. I'm using sweet potatoes and black beans. That's sort of the two dominant hearty vegetables in there. But there's also tomatoes and peppers and garlic. And then, of course, a little vegetable broth and tomato puree to help bind it together. But then it's all about dry spices, chili powder, cumin, a little paprika, a touch of cayenne. And then my secret weapons in chili are chocolate and chipotle peppers. That adds a little sweet, a little heat, and a little smoke. Perfect for a great chili.
Wow. Yeah, Danielle, my stomach is growling. I'll let you take the rest of this.
So Nick, you're also Can you go through some of the ingredients for us there?
Absolutely. So when you're cooking a chili, you can add. That's the fun part about doing a dish like this. Chili is such a staple at a tailgate or a Super Bowl party. And you can almost add anything you want. But if you look closely at this, it's bound together with primarily sweet potatoes and black beans. I have jalapeno peppers, chipotle peppers, red bell pepper, red onion, a little bit of garlic, and then tomato product, which adds the body to the chili. But to balance that out, I put a little bit of vegetable broth. Then the two main ones are all about the chocolate and all about the chipotle peppers. Sweet, heat, and smoke really makes it resemble your classic flavorful meat chili, but all the vegetables and really healthy for you.
Wow.
That sounds like something Cheryl would like you.
Well, get over here, Cheryl. Where are you? Well, I was calling.
Yeah, well, she's definitely big on travel, so please don't entice her because we'll lose her off of this show.
Listen, Cheryl, be careful what you wish for, all right? This is Tom Brady country, and while Patriots might not be in it, there's still a lot of number 12 jerseys floating around.
You know.
Yeah. So Chef Nick, you're also hosting a regular segment, right? Coming up on Your View, Simply Southern New England. So our viewers in New England can keep up with you there. For those of us outside of the Northeast, how can we find out more about Chef Nick and Avenue and American Kitchen?
Avenue and American Kitchen has a great Instagram. It's very active. We're posting great specials, great food every single day. We also have the websites, avenueandamericankitchen.com or avenueandprovidence.com. We have a couple of great locations. I would love to see you guys out here on the East Coast one of these days. And believe me, you'll be fed very well.
Can't wait.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Thanks so much for all the snack tips and for joining us today on Main Street.
Thanks, guys.
All right, guys, stick with us. We got a lot more to talk about. We're going to be hearing about a hero's true colors, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Main Street Living. Now, Quincy, Cheryl, our next guest, we've actually had visit us before on Main Street Living, and we had to bring him back, right?
Yes, love having him on the show.
Yeah, and it's about heroes and books and things that people can look up to. And, we've all been kids before, so we all need heroes, whether they're our parents or even the Cape Crusader, right? But our next guest wanted to make sure his kids could read about heroes who looked like them. So he took the matters into his own hands and ended up with a Heroes of Color book. So welcome back, author and animator David. How you doing there, David?
I'm doing well. How you doing? Thanks for having me back.
Good to see you.
Doing great. Now, David, why is it important to have heroes that represent all kinds of kids?
Well, I think first and foremost, acceptance, right? I think it's one of the things that we all seek for, in school environment or just in our community. But I think it fosters growth and community in a classroom setting. When a child sees somebody else who looks like them excelling in another industry, it makes them feel like now they can do it. And sadly, even if it's just in a comic book or in a cartoon or in a commercial, it's important for them to see themselves out in the real world, not just at home.
Mm.
It's so important. And is that why you decided to start Heroes of Color?
I actually decided to start it because of my kids. Heroes of Color was forced into existence. Sadly, it was something born out of frustration because my children had gone through some racial discrimination in kindergarten and then again in the third grade. And then it forced me to really pay attention to the curriculum and what they were learning. And I just felt like they're not going to get the cultural education that I want them to get in school. So I need to make sure that I'm at least providing them with that outlet. So my kids were the inspiration for pretty much everything that I do now.
Yeah, you talk about the inspiration and actually, having to put forth the work to ensure that you protect your kids. All parents have that innate ability to do so. But why do you feel like, like that's a good place to put your energy in terms of like creating comic books and your focus on education?
That's a good question. It would have taken me a while to answer that prior to starting this, but as a parent now, I can actually see the impact that it is making on children, my children in particular. Something just happened today that I want to share with you. My son shared with me a story that his teacher was starting an assignment about European explorers, and how they were the first people to come to America. And my son raised his hand. He said, actually, that's not correct. Actually, there were already indigenous people living in the United States, and they just came here and took over. But there were already people living here. So giving my kids the confidence to question their teachers, to question the material that they're being taught, is the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. Because that he did, questioning his teacher, forced his teacher to change how she's taught that lesson. Now she had to give a lesson about the indigenous people. So that's why I do what I'm doing.
It's so true. And I'm glad that he had the courage to do that.
Oh my God, I'm so proud of him.
Yeah. And I know that you've also done something called your comic book creation workshop. What is that?
Yeah. That came out of, I started doing with all of the social distancing. A lot of educators were sort of frustrated because their students were getting bored. So I started doing these workshops, Little Heroes of Color workshops, which is just, teaching kids about how to deal with racism, how to, be better allies and all that other stuff. But I pitched an idea to create an artist in residence workshop. And the first school I taught it in was a school here in LA called the Merman School. And on the surface, yes, it was about teaching kids how to create comic books and how to tell stories. But really, the comic book workshop was about empowering kids and giving them the opportunity to take control of the narrative and tell the stories that they want to hear, versus just sitting back and waiting to hear the exact same stuff that they've been taught for Black History Month and, like the usual stuff. So I tried to break the norm for them. And I mean, the results were incredible because the superheroes that they were forced to create were not superheroes that had powers of destruction. The whole thing was they had to create superheroes that had power of responsibility or empathy or love. So it was a very, very incredible sort of workshop to see what they came up with, and we don't give kids a lot of credit. We think, oh, they're not ready to have these conversations yet. They're ready. They are ready. We just need to engage them in this sort of conversation. I think a lot of parents are afraid to do it.
Yeah, well, I mean, we definitely applaud you for taking that step. And down below, your information is displayed where people can get more information about you, David. Wish we had a little bit more time to get, to hear about your inspiration. But thank you for being on the show today, my man.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate you bringing me back and for giving me an opportunity to share my work with everybody, with your audience.
Of course, you're a role model and inspiration for so many. So thanks again.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Sure. All right, Q, coming up on Main Street Living. Do you find it difficult to let go of stuff in your house? Well, I do. I'm sentimental, so I keep a lot of stuff, but coming up, we will break down how to determine what's trash and what's treasure. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Main Street Living. Ladies, I have a small confession. So I'm always big about telling my wife about, get rid of this stuff. You don't need this stuff. And she actually busted me last weekend in the garage. I was hanging on to a bunch of stuff that I should have gotten rid of a long time ago. But you always got to tell me what I got to do.
Quincy. All right. Well, with so many of us spending a lot of time at home, it's a big year for organizing and purging. So I think a lot of that is going on in a lot of households. But how do you know what to keep and what to get rid of? That's the $1 million question. Joining us now to help are Shelly Adelson and Sophia Cobbs from Peace and Story in Scottsdale, Arizona. Welcome to Main Street Living.
Hi.
All right. So tell us how you came up with the idea for your business, Peace and Story. It sounds really interesting.
Well, we both, we met through our kids, and we have 8 children between us, 4 boys each. So we had an instant connection. And then we both found that we had a love for collecting and hunting for treasures and adding old things to our new things in our house and just trying to create a warm vibe. And we would just find that we were going to the same places separately, talking about the items. And then we just started brainstorming about someday we'd love to have a store of our own. And as the kids got older, we were able to have that dream come true.
Oh, that's so exciting. Well, so you guys love mixing treasures in, right, with someone's personal belongings. So how should we look at our own pieces when we're deciding what to keep and what to let go of? Do you have like a good rule of thumb?
Yeah, that's tough for a lot of people to let go of things. But now,
Cheryl.
since everybody's been spending so much time at home and they're looking at their stuff longer and more in depth, it is time to kind of edit. And but things that, would stand the test of time and kind of last through generations down to, maybe they came from before you and you would want to pass those down to your children. Mid-century design is huge and wonderful and has, great lines and great history. Solid old pieces, made with, proper wood joints, nothing glued, that sort of thing. Great pieces to keep. Old trunks or items that have a special meaning to your family history are things you can always find a use for, even if it's something you might not use. You have your grandmother's old tea set. We don't maybe have that kind of lifestyle anymore, but they can be used as maybe a bud vase or in another, herbs
I
on
use
your
grandma's
windowsill,
tea set.
something like that.
Yeah.
And something else that I love is you add soul to your home. Explain that.
Mm-hmm.
I think part of what we mean by soul is just adding some character, something unique, different, having something, things are not made the way they used to be, and the quality, and just something where people walk in and they'll think, oh, what is that? It might be, you're using it as a bud vase, but it's a teapot or whatever, but it just adds charm. And I think it adds so much more than just a real clean,
Right.
People like that look, but adding the charm of just something old and unique just adds a lot more soul, we feel.
Oh.
Well, you guys are already inspiring me to move some things around. What's your recommendation for someone seeing this, and how can they get started? Do you pick a room, or is it better to pick a piece and kind of work around that?
Well, we always kind of follow the rule of thumb. If you find a special piece, but you don't know where to put it or where it's going to go, if you really do love it, you'll find a place for it. That might not be its intended spot, but that's what we've always followed, and it kind of seems to work that way. Whether it's a vintage rug and you go from there with the colors, or a piece of artwork that speaks to you, and jump from that point.
Absolutely. Well, you both are like yin and yang. You're so much fun. I love what you have to offer. Quickly tell us where our viewers can go to learn more.
We have a website, peaceandstory.com. We also have an Instagram, Peace and Story, spelled out A&D, and Facebook page as well.
We do sell on a third-party website, Cherish, which is a global website. Great place to find all kinds of wonderful vintage and antique pieces from multiple
Love
people.
that.
Yeah.
Good to know. Ladies, thank
Thanks
you
so much.
for joining
Thank you
us.
so much.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
All right, stick with us. Coming up, we're going to get to watch Cheryl interview a legend. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Main Street Living. Now, Cheryl, I know that you got to do something recently that was pretty exciting and exclusive, and you got to meet one of your heroes in the process.
I can't believe it. It was really cool. It was a small, social distance, safe weather conference, less than 15 people, called Operation Sierra Storm. It took place in the South Tahoe area of Lake Tahoe, Nevada, also spanning into California. And at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in State Line, Nevada, I got the chance to interview Al Roker from the Today Show virtually. Yes. A look at this. So now we're joining Al Roker, and he is joining us virtually here at Operation Sierra Storm in South Tahoe, Nevada. So happy to have you here. Wish you were here in person, of course. But Al, I'm curious as to your thoughts, how you feel the weather industry has changed over the years. In the past, we used to just give a weather forecast, but now we take on so many more roles. And I think this is a great thing for educating the public. But can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Well, I've been very fortunate. Even back, I first started in 1974 at a television station in Syracuse. And I didn't just do weather. I did reporting. I got to do, I had a vegetable garden that I was growing. We talked about the change from, it never seemed to take off, from going from Fahrenheit to Celsius, the metric conversion that America never quite seemed to embrace. So I've always been very fortunate that I've been able to do other things besides weather, but they're always been science-based. And I think that's one of the roles of the broadcast meteorologist now, because so much of what we do touches on so many other parts of other people's lives. So I think to that extent, it's a wonderful time. Look, when I first started, you drew on a map on the studio, or it was a magnet that you'd put magnetic symbols, and the satellite imagery was at least 12 hours old because it was on a film loop that had been sent from the National Weather Service. In 1982, I think it was, I got my first weather computer in Cleveland, Ohio, at WKYC. It was an Apple IIe computer. It could display 16 colors, and it could show 12 graphics. And now the sky's the limit.
I cannot imagine having to forecast in Syracuse with equipment like that, because my first job was also in Syracuse, and it's hard enough when you have technology to forecast there. So it's very interesting. And I actually got into meteorology because of my love for snow. Did you share that as well?
No, I didn't. I really, I got a job doing weather. That was, our department chairman said, whatever job you're offered, take it, and then figure out what you want to do. I wanted to be a director or a producer. My department chairman told me after my first television performance class, he said, Roker, you've got the perfect face for radio.
Oh.
So I didn't really, now that said, he's the one who put me up for my first TV job. But I had no plans, and as I said before I took the class in meteorology, other than wanting to know whether it was going to rain or snow the next day, I could care less. But
I love that.
Weather has been very, very good to me.
And you're so real, and you have a great face for TV. Everybody loves the Al Roker glasses, which we all have here at the conference, except they're blue, not pink or orange or whatever color you're wearing today. But we'll have to upgrade. Coral. Okay, listen to that. And before we go, I've got one more question for you. Obviously, you're very into climate change, as am I. I think it's so important right now. What would you say to somebody who says, this doesn't affect me directly, or they don't think it affects them directly? What would you say to that person to open their eyes?
Well, I think they need to look around, realize, have your insurance rates gone up? That's probably because of climate change. Have your food costs gone up? That's probably because of climate change. Is it harder to go to certain places? That's because probably of climate change. So, I think that's our job, is to illuminate the many ways, big and small, that our changing climate is affecting average life in the United States and really all around the world.
You're a wonderful advocate for climate change, weather, everything you do for this community. We all look up to you. Thank you so much for your time today, Al Roker, Operation Sierra Storm. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
So guys, all right, this was really funny, okay?
I say that you took away a lot from that interview.
Yeah. But the conference people, the PR agency, they actually got the blue Al Roker glasses for everybody. And so we all were wearing them. When Al Roker came on, he could see us. And then instead of wearing his normal blue, he wore the pink glasses. And we're all going, no.
No.
Nice.
It was really amazing, though. I mean, he is such a role model for so many people. He does so much for the weather and climate industry, and were
that's so
honored.
cool, Cheryl, that you both started in the same place, right? Syracuse?
Both in Syracuse. Who knew?
So crazy.
Yeah. Love my Al Roker.
Wow. Well, we definitely got more coming up on Main Street Living next, so you guys stick right there. I need some of those glasses too, Cheryl.
Ooh. Welcome back to Main Street Living. Another great show today, guys. Super Bowl is around the corner. Go Tom Brady.
Yeah, I'm a little hungry. I'm
I've got some snacks over here. Gonna start making some stuff. What else next week? You got to tune in because I recently went to Lake Tahoe for that weather conference, small.
Right. Where you got to talk to Al Roker.
Yes, I've got a bunch of amazing pictures and my snowmobile adventure. So tune in next week.
Well, while you're
always on the go.
Yeah, while you're on the go, don't forget you can catch us on the go on our Cox Contour app as well.
And new episodes of Main Street Living every Monday, 9 p.m. local time. So make sure you join us again as we take another stroll down Main Street.